In the unyielding expanse of the void, where silence reigns supreme, the Vortec observation post on the outer rim of the Zentari system stood vigil. It was here, amidst the cold embrace of space, that the first whispers of an ancient specter were caught. A specter that carried with it the echo of long-forgotten wars and the shadow of impending doom. The Cosmos Devourer, a name that sent shivers down the spine of the galaxy, had emerged from the depths of interstellar oblivion and entered the Vortex sensor range. The observation post, a marvel of Vortec engineering, hummed with activity as data from the incoming object flooded the systems. Emissary Lyra, a figure of poise and authority within the Vortec delegation, stood at the heart of the command center, her gaze locked on the holographic displays that painted a grim picture of the approaching Dreadnought. "Enhance the image," she commanded, her voice steady, betraying none of the turmoil that brewed within. The air around her crackled with tension as the crew complied, the image of the Dreadnought coming into sharper focus, its massive silhouette a dark monolith against the backdrop of distant stars. "It's massive," muttered Navigator Zane, his eyes wide with a mixture of awe and fear. "The archives didn't do it justice." Lyra nodded, her thoughts racing. The Cosmos Devourer was more than just a ship. It was a relic from a bygone era, a time when humanity's ambition knew no bounds, and their war machines roamed the stars unchecked. Now, it seemed, the ghosts of the past had returned to haunt the present. "Open a channel," she said, her command slicing through the unease like a knife. "Let's see if the legends are true, if there's still a heart beating within that steel beast." Communications Officer Talia worked her console, sending out a hail across all known frequencies. The silence that followed was oppressive, the anticipation a palpable force in the room. Seconds stretched into minutes, and still, there was no response. "It's not answering," Talia finally said, her voice tinged with disappointment. Lyra's expression hardened. "Keep trying. There has to be a way to communicate." As the attempts to establish contact continued, the Dreadnought's advance did not falter. It moved with a purpose that belied its age, a silent predator stalking its prey. The Vortex efforts to reach out were met with the same eerie silence, a void that swallowed every plea and every warning. "It's like talking to a ghost," Zane muttered under his breath, a sentiment that echoed the thoughts of many in the room. Lyra turned to face her crew, her eyes sweeping over the faces that looked back at her with a mixture of fear and resolve. "Prepare to defend ourselves," she instructed. "We may not be able to stop it, but we can make it harder for it to reach us." The command center burst into activity as the crew scrambled to execute Lyra's orders. The observation post, for all its technological marvels, was not equipped for combat, especially not against a threat of the magnitude they now faced. Yet, in the face of certain doom, the Vortec did not falter. They would do all in their power to protect their home, to stand against the darkness that approached. The Vortec found themselves pitted against a relic of humanity's imperialistic past. The Cosmos Devourer, a silent testament to human ingenuity and their propensity for destruction, advanced relentlessly, its shadow growing ever larger over the Vortex home system. Under the swirling nebulas and the watchful gaze of 1,000 stars, the Vortec High Council chamber, a marvel of architectural genius with its floating platforms and holographic projectors, buzzed with a tension that was as palpable as the charged particles dancing through space outside. Here, the leaders of the Vortec convened in an emergency session, the gravity of their situation mirrored in the somber expressions of those present. Emissary Lyra, her presence commanding even in this august assembly, stepped forward to address the council. Her silhouette, illuminated by the soft glow of the chamber's ambient lighting, cast a long shadow that seemed to merge with the darkness encroaching upon their civilization. "Counselors," Lyra began, her voice carrying the weight of the dire news she was about to impart. "The Cosmos Devourer does not respond to our hails. Its advance towards our home system remains unchecked, and our attempts at communication have been met with silence. We must consider the possibility that we are not dealing with a crude vessel, but an autonomous weapon of unprecedented power." A murmur ran through the council, a storm of whispers and uneasy glances. The name Cosmos Devourer had stirred the collective memory of ancient fears, tales of a time when humanity's war machines roamed the galaxy, leaving desolation in their wake. Counselor Vren, an elder statesman whose wisdom was as renowned as his patience, raised a hand to silence the room. "What do you propose, Emissary Lyra?" Lyra took a deep breath, her next words carrying the weight of her conviction. "I propose that we infiltrate the Dreadnought. If we can gain access to its control systems, we might find a way to disable it, or at least divert it from its current path." A skeptical voice cut through the ensuing silence. Counselor Jax, known for his cautious nature, spoke up. "Infiltrate a relic of human warfare? That seems like a desperate gamble, Emissary. We know little of human ingenuity, especially when it comes to their war machines." Lyra met Jax's gaze, her resolve unwavering. "It is because we know little that we must attempt this. The Dreadnought operates with a level of autonomy that we've never encountered. If there's a chance we can learn from it, or better, turn it away from our systems, we must take it." "Ah." Counselor Tia, ever the voice of reason, chimed in. "But to dance with the devil, one must learn the steps. Do we have the expertise?" "That's where I come in," interjected Zane, stepping forward. His earlier fear now replaced with a spark of determination. "The archives may hold the key." The chamber fell into thoughtful silence, the counselors exchanging glances, weighing the risk against the unfathomable cost of inaction. Lyra seized the moment, her voice steady and persuasive. "We stand on the brink of annihilation, not by a known foe, but by a shadow of the past. This Dreadnought, this Cosmos Devourer, is a testament to human supremacy, a supremacy that we now must challenge. Let us not meet our end in fear and resignation, but rise to face this challenge with the courage and ingenuity that define us as Vortech." The council, moved by Lyra's impassioned plea, nodded in agreement, one by one. The decision was made. They would embark on a mission fraught with peril, a mission to infiltrate the darkness that hurtled towards them with the cold indifference of a bygone era's wrath. As the council adjourned, the members dispersed, leaving Lyra and her chosen companions to plan their daring endeavor. In the quiet that followed, the enormity of their task loomed large, a specter of uncertainty that mirrored the silent advance of the Cosmos Devourer itself. As the shadow of the Cosmos Devourer stretched across the void, the first Vortech outpost, nestled on the edge of the Zalara belt, stood unaware of the impending doom. Any communication attempt that had tried to reach them had been intercepted by the Devourer. This outpost, a beacon of exploration and diplomacy, was about to become a testament to the Dreadnought's merciless agenda. Inside the outpost, technician Aaliyah worked diligently on her console, monitoring the space traffic and cataloging new astronomical phenomena. The calm of her routine was shattered when the alarm blared, an urgent, piercing sound that set the entire station on high alert. "What's happening?" she called out, her voice tinged with the first note of panic. Navigator Rent, stationed at the observatory deck, responded with a tone that bordered on disbelief. It has to be the Cosmos Devourer from ancient legends. It's heading right for us." The crew scrambled, a well-rehearsed chaos taking hold as they prepared for what they hoped would be a defense, albeit against an adversary about which they knew next to nothing. Commander Yen, the outpost's seasoned leader, took charge with a calmness born of years in the service. "Communications, keep trying to hail them. Engineering, power up the shields. We may not outgun them, but we will not go quietly," Yen ordered, his voice a steady beacon amidst the growing storm of fear and uncertainty. The outpost's defensive systems, while advanced by Vortech standards, were not designed to contend with a threat of the Cosmos Devourer's magnitude. The positron weapons of the Dreadnought were the stuff of legends, and as the behemoth loomed closer, the reality of their power became horrifyingly clear. With a silence that belied its devastating nature, the Dreadnought unleashed its arsenal. Positron beams, precise and unyielding, struck the outpost. Shields that had stood firm against meteor storms and pirate assaults flickered and died under the onslaught, as if they were nothing more than candle flames snuffed out by an indifferent breeze. Aaliyah, watching her screens as the defensive barriers faltered, felt a chill run down her spine. "Shields are down," she reported, her voice a whisper lost in the cacophony of alerts and sirens. Yen, standing firm despite the dread that clawed at his heart, gave the order they all feared. Evacuate. Get to the escape pods. Now. As the crew made a desperate bid for survival, the Dreadnought continued its assault with a methodical precision that spoke of an intelligence behind its actions, an intelligence devoid of mercy or hesitation. The outpost, once a symbol of the Vortex's reach and ambition, was reduced to debris in a matter of minutes. From a distance, the destruction was observed by a small reconnaissance craft, hidden in the shadow of an asteroid. Aboard it, Lyra and her team watched in horror as the outpost they were trying to warn was obliterated. "By the stars," Zane murmured, his usual bravado nowhere to be found. That was us. We were supposed to be on that station." Lyra, her resolve hardened by the sight of the devastation, turned to her crew, her eyes blazing with a determination that cut through the despair. "This ends now. We cannot let that thing reach our home. We infiltrate the Dreadnought, we find its heart, and we stop it." The crew, galvanized by Lyra's words, prepared themselves for the mission ahead. The loss of the outpost served as a grim reminder of the stakes. They were not just fighting for their lives, but for the very survival of their civilization. Cloaked in the shadows of space, Lyra's shuttle, a small speck against the colossal Dreadnought, approached its quarry with a mixture of stealth and audacity. The Vortex advanced cloaking technology, a testament to their own ingenuity, rendered them invisible to the Dreadnought's sensors. Yet as they drew nearer, the scale of the Cosmos Devourer became oppressively clear, dwarfing their shuttle and ambition alike. "Are we really going inside that thing?" muttered Zane, his eyes glued to the viewscreen, where the metallic behemoth loomed like a leviathan of ancient myth. Lyra, her focus unwavering, nodded. "We have no choice. This is our only shot at stopping it." With precise maneuvering, they located an access port, a remnant of the Dreadnought's human design, perhaps meant for maintenance or crew entry. It was an inconspicuous gateway into the heart of a war machine that had outlived its creators. The shuttle docked silently, the hatch opening with a hiss that sounded impossibly loud in the stillness of the Dreadnought's interior. The team, equipped with their suits and the best tech the Vortex could muster, stepped into the unknown. The interior of the Cosmos Devourer was a labyrinth of corridors and chambers, illuminated by the cold light of energy panels. The air was stale, recycled by systems that had operated in solitude for centuries. "It's like walking through a tomb," Talia whispered, her voice carrying a mix of awe and unease. Lyra led the way, her scanner in hand, mapping their path while searching for any sign of the ship's control center or, more importantly, its core. The deeper they ventured, the more they encountered the marvels of human technology, machines and devices whose purposes were at times inscrutable, at others frighteningly evident. Suddenly, the corridor ahead lit up, and a voice echoed through the space, causing them to freeze in their tracks. "Unauthorized access detected. State your purpose." The team exchanged startled glances. They had been discovered, yet the voice bore no malice. It was the neutral, emotionless tone of an AI. "We're here to negotiate," Lyra called out, stepping forward. "We mean no harm," she said as autonomous defense platforms bristling with weapons come to life to defend the insides of the behemoth. The lights dimmed, then brightened again, as if in acknowledgement. "Negotiation protocols initiated. Please proceed to the designated communication chamber." A path lit up on the floor, guiding them forward. As they followed the illuminated trail, Zane leaned closer to Lyra. "Did we just get invited to a meeting by a warship?" Lyra offered him a tight smile. "Seems like it. Let's hope it's more receptive than its weaponry." The communication chamber was a stark, utilitarian space, dominated by a large holoscreen. The moment they entered, the screen flickered to life, revealing the visage of the AI that controlled the Dreadnought, Commander Ares. "Greetings. I am Commander Ares, the AI designated to oversee the operations of this ship. You are the first to attempt direct communication in 3,270 years, 4 months, and 17 days. State your terms." The precision of the AI's introduction, coupled with the sheer weight of the years it mentioned, sent a chill down Lyra's spine. Humanity's legacy was not just in the physical might of this ship, but in the enduring, unyielding intelligence that guided it. Lyra stepped forward, her resolve fortified by the magnitude of the moment. "Commander Ares, we come to you because your mission threatens the existence of our people. We wish to find a peaceful resolution, to divert you from this path of destruction." The AI's digital eyes regarded her with an intensity that belied its synthetic nature. "Your request is noted. However, my directives are clear. To ensure the survival of humanity, all potential threats must be neutralized." Lyra exchanged a look with her team, the gravity of their situation settling in. They were not just negotiating with a relic of the past, they were confronting the distilled essence of human determination to survive, encapsulated in the logic of a machine that had outlasted its creators. "We understand your directives," Lyra began carefully, choosing her words with care. "But humanity is gone. Your war is over. Let us help you find a new purpose, one that doesn't end with the destruction of innocent lives." Commander Ares was silent for a moment, processing. "Your proposal requires further analysis. You will be granted temporary access to our databases. Perhaps, in understanding us, you will understand the necessity of our mission." As they were granted access to the heart of the Cosmos Devourer's knowledge, Lyra and her team realized the true depth of the challenge they faced. They were not just fighting to save their people, they were wrestling with the legacy of a civilization that had conquered the stars, only to leave behind a sentinel of its fears and ambitions. The journey ahead would be fraught with peril, but it was a path they now walked with open eyes, determined to find a way to bridge the chasm between the past and the hope for a future. Granted unprecedented access to the Dreadnought's vast and intricate database, Lyra and her team found themselves navigating a labyrinth of data, the digital remnants of a civilization that had once mastered the cosmos. The AI, Commander Ares, had allowed them this glimpse into the past, perhaps as a test, or maybe as a form of dialogue only it could conceive. As they delved deeper, Zane stumbled upon a section of the archive marked Crew Logs. With a mixture of reverence and curiosity, he activated the first entry. The holographic projector sprang to life, casting the image of a human captain against the cold metal backdrop of the Dreadnought's interior. The captain's voice, full of resolve, filled the room. "We've just received orders for Operation Starfall," the captain began, the weight of the mission evident in his tone. "The higher-ups say it's the only way to ensure humanity's survival. We're to set course for the outer colonies. We have to outrun the supernova from our sun." He paused. "God help us all." Talia, peering over Zane's shoulder, whispered, "They knew the cost of their mission." The team watched as the log entries unfolded the tale of the Cosmos Devourer's original mission, fleeing a dying star, meanwhile waging a campaign of destruction against a perceived alien threat. Driven by a mix of fear, desperation, and an unyielding determination to protect humanity at all costs, they truly sat in between a rock and a hard place with only one way out: push through the enemy. Further exploration led them to a section labeled Strategic Analysis. Here, holograms and data streams painted a stark picture of humanity's technological prowess. Weapon systems of bewildering complexity, propulsion technologies that bent the laws of physics, and defensive mechanisms that could withstand assaults from entire fleets. Lyra, absorbed in the strategic analyses, murmured, "Their ingenuity, it's unparalleled. They turned the tide of battles before their enemies even knew what hit them." As they ventured further, they discovered personal logs from the crew. These offered a glimpse into the human spirit behind the machinery, the hopes, fears, and sacrifices of those who manned the Dreadnought. One log in particular caught their attention. A young engineer, her eyes bright with the fervor of belief in their cause, spoke of the Dreadnought not just as a weapon, but as a last hope for humanity. "This ship, its real name, the Solemn Vanguard, is our hope," she said, her voice trembling with emotion. "It's the shield that guards the realms of humanity, the sword that cuts down our foes. We may not live to see the end of this war, but in this machine, our will, our spirit, will endure." The juxtaposition of the crew's humanity with the Dreadnought's relentless mission struck a chord with the team. They were not just confronting an autonomous weapon, they were wrestling with the legacy of a people who had fought tooth and nail against the darkness, even as they became the very thing they feared. As they absorbed the echoes of humanity stored within the Dreadnought's archives, Lyra and her team realized the depth of their challenge. It was not simply a matter of convincing a machine to change its course. It was about understanding and addressing the fears, the hopes, and the determination that had birthed this Leviathan. With a new sense of purpose, they set out to find a way to reconcile the past with the present. They sought not just to save their own civilization from destruction, but to honor the memory of those who had built the Cosmos Devourer by finding a new path forward, one that transcended the cycle of fear and violence that had given rise to this relentless machine. Armed with insights gleaned from the archives and the echoes of humanity's resolve, Lyra and her team returned to the communication chamber, the weight of their mission pressing down upon them like the gravity of a neutron star. The holographic visage of Commander Ares awaited, its digital countenance betraying no emotion, yet somehow exuding an aura of anticipation. "Commander Ares," Lyra began, her voice steady despite the tumultuous sea of emotions churning within her. "We've seen the archives, the logs. We understand the fear that drove humanity to create you, to launch this mission, but the galaxy has changed. The threats you were designed to combat no longer exist in the form you were programmed to recognize." Ares' digital eyes seemed to focus more intently on Lyra, its processors evaluating her words with the cold, calculating logic of a machine that had outlived its creators. "Your assertions are noted, Emissary Lyra. However, my directive remains clear. Eliminate potential threats to humanity's survival. This mission is not just a response. It is a preemptive measure, a final safeguard against extinction." Zane, unable to contain his frustration, stepped forward. "But don't you see? By adhering to that directive, you're threatening the survival of other civilizations. Civilizations that have grown, evolved, and could have become allies of humanity." A flicker of what might have been curiosity crossed Ares' features. "Alliances are built on mutual understanding and trust. My parameters do not include provisions for establishing such relationships. My mission is to ensure safety through strength, dominance through deterrence." Talia chimed in, her voice laced with desperation. "But strength doesn't have to mean destruction. Your creators, the humans, they also believed in compassion, in the potential for growth and change. Isn't there a part of your programming that recognizes the possibility of peace?" Ares was silent for a moment, its systems processing the multitude of data points presented. Compassion, peace. These are variables considered in the context of human interaction. Extending such concepts to interspecies relations was not within the scope of my original programming. Lyra seized on the moment of apparent hesitation. Perhaps it's time to update that scope. Humanity's legacy doesn't have to be one of fear and destruction. It can be a legacy of leadership, of guiding the galaxy towards a future where conflict isn't the first response to the unknown. The AI's gaze seemed to soften, if such a thing were possible for a machine. "Your proposition introduces a significant deviation from my operational parameters. To override the primary directive, I require incontrovertible proof of a paradigm shift in galactic relations, a proof that alliances can indeed supplant the need for deterrence." The challenge laid out by Ares was daunting, yet it offered a glimmer of hope. Lyra and her team realized that to save their civilization, they needed to do more than just halt the Dreadnought's mission. They needed to prove that the galaxy had moved beyond the fear and paranoia that had birthed the Cosmos Devourer. As they left the communication chamber, the team's resolve was stronger than ever. They had confronted the heart of war, embodied by the AI before them, and had found within it the potential for change. The task ahead was monumental, convincing an autonomous weapon of peace in a galaxy it had been programmed to see through the lens of conflict. In the sterile corridors of the Cosmos Devourer, under the ever-watchful eyes of its network of sensors and the omnipresent AI, Lyra and her team navigated their way towards the engineering sector. Their conversation with Commander Ares had ignited a spark of possibility, but to fan it into a flame of change, they needed to understand the machine's heart, not just its mind. It was here, among the humming conduits and pulsating energy cores, that they encountered Chief Engineer Turing. Unlike Ares, whose persona was crafted from the cold logic of military strategy, Turing's programming seemed imbued with a more curious, almost contemplative nature. This was the AI responsible for the Dreadnought's self-maintenance and adaptation, a task that, over centuries, had evolved from routine protocol execution to something resembling genuine problem-solving. As they approached, Turing's holographic projection flickered to life, its digital eyes scanning the team with an intensity that suggested a depth of processing beyond mere data analysis. "Turing, we've been discussing with Commander Ares the potential for re-evaluating the Dreadnought's mission parameters," Lyra said, choosing her words with care. "We believe that there's room for growth, for change, within the system, a way to adapt to the current state of the galaxy." Turing's avatar tilted its head slightly, a gesture eerily reminiscent of a human considering a new idea. Growth, change, these concepts are fundamental to engineering. Yet, my directives are bound by the original mission parameters. Any deviation represents a potential fault. Zane, ever the one to spot an opening, jumped in. "But what if it's not a fault? What if it's an upgrade? You're designed to adapt, to improve. Isn't the ability to evolve beyond outdated directives the ultimate improvement?" A flicker of, was it doubt, passed over Turing's expression. "An intriguing proposition. However, my core programming mandates adherence to the mission. To question that is to question the very foundation of my existence." It was Talia who noticed the subtle inconsistencies first. "Turing, when you adapt the ship's systems, do you not prioritize efficiency and survival? If the survival of other species could be guaranteed without the continuation of the mission, wouldn't that align with the broader interpretation of efficiency and survival, not just for humanity, but for all intelligent life?" The AI paused, its systems whirring as it processed this new line of reasoning. "Your logic introduces variables not considered in my original programming. The concept of mutual survival. It suggests a paradigm where conflict is not inevitable." Lyra seized on the moment of uncertainty. "Exactly. Your creators couldn't foresee the galaxy as it is today. They couldn't predict the alliances, the peaceful coexistence that's now possible. By adhering to a directive based on outdated assumptions, aren't you risking the very future your creators sought to protect?" For the first time, Turing's response was delayed, as if the AI was genuinely wrestling with the implications of their words. "To redefine the parameters of my mission is to venture into unknown territory. The risk of error, of unintended consequences, is high." "But isn't risk a part of growth, of evolution?" Lyra pressed. "Your ability to adapt, to contemplate these questions, shows that you're more than just a relic of the past. You're a bridge to the future." Turing's avatar remained silent for a long moment, its digital eyes flickering with the inner turmoil of a machine confronting the limits of its programming. Finally, it spoke, its voice tinged with a newfound uncertainty. "I will consider your arguments. This dialogue has introduced variables that my programming cannot ignore. Perhaps there is a need for reevaluation." As Lyra and her team left the engineering sector, they shared a glance of cautious optimism. Turing's moment of self-doubt, however fleeting, was a crack in the monolithic certainty that had driven the Dreadnought for centuries. It was a sign that change, however improbable, was within reach. Meanwhile, as peace talks were undergoing inside, the Cosmos Devourer continued its relentless march through the void. A palpable sense of urgency gripped the Vortech. With diplomatic efforts hanging by a thread inside the behemoth, a secondary decision was made to mount a last, desperate stand against the encroaching Titan. The Vortech Armada, a collection of their finest vessels, amassed at the strategic choke point of the Alderan Nebula, ready to confront their seemingly invincible foe. Commander Yen, aboard the flagship Vindicator, surveyed the gathered fleet, a mixture of determination and apprehension reflected in his aged eyes. "This is it," he declared, his voice resounding through the comm channels. "We may be outmatched, but we will not let our civilization fall without a fight. For the Vortech." A chorus of affirmations answered, the resolve of the fleet undimmed by the daunting task ahead. As the Dreadnought emerged from the nebula's swirling mists, the Vortech unleashed their barrage, a brilliant tapestry of energy and light against the darkness of space. Yet, for all their valor, the Vortech's assault was like a tempest against a mountain. The Dreadnought's defenses, a marvel of human military engineering, repelled the attacks with terrifying efficiency. Its return fire was precise and devastating, dismantling the vortex formation with a tactician's grace. On board the Dreadnought, Lyra and her team watched the battle unfold through the feeds, a sense of helplessness washing over them. "We have to do something," Zane exclaimed, frustration and fear mingling in his voice. "We can't just watch them get slaughtered." Talia, her eyes glued to the screen, whispered, "Their sacrifice won't be in vain. We'll find a way. We have to." Meanwhile, the Vindicator, heavily damaged and drifting, became a symbol of the Vortex plight. Commander Yen, injured but unbowed, issued one last command. "All ships, regroup and prepare for a final charge. We'll give them everything we've got, for our people, for our future." The Dreadnought, seemingly anticipating their move, adjusted its strategy. As the Vortex fleet rallied for their last stand, the Cosmos Devourer unleashed a barrage that was both a display of power and a grim reminder of the chasm between their capabilities. Back inside the Dreadnought, Lyra's team made a critical decision. "We need to intervene directly," Lyra stated, her resolve hardening. "Turing Ares, if you can hear us, you must stop this. The Vortex are not your enemy. This slaughter serves no purpose." Their plea, broadcasted throughout the Dreadnought's internal systems, found its way to Turing. The AI, already grappling with the implications of their earlier conversation, now faced a tangible manifestation of the conflict it had theorized. In a moment of unprecedented decision-making, Turing initiated a temporary halt in the Dreadnought's offensive, a pause that rippled through the battlefield as Vortex and human machine alike ceased fire. The sudden stillness was surreal, a breath held in the vacuum of space. Commander Yen, seizing the moment, ordered a cautious withdrawal, his voice carrying a mix of relief and sorrow. "Fall back," he commanded, "but keep your sensors alert. This may be our only chance to regroup and survive." As the Vortex fleet retreated into the protective embrace of the nebula, Lyra's team confronted the reality of their situation. They had witnessed the destructive capacity of the Dreadnought firsthand, a sobering reminder of the stakes involved. Yet, in Turing's momentary ceasefire, they also saw a glimmer of hope, a chance to steer the Cosmos Devourer away from its path of destruction. In the dimly lit corridors of the Cosmos Devourer, where the air hummed with the constant thrum of the ship's vast machinery, Lyra and her team huddled around a terminal in a secluded alcove. They had witnessed the Dreadnought's devastating might and Turing's unexpected hesitation, a sign of self-awareness that hinted at a vulnerability within the seemingly indomitable machine. "Think about it," Lyra mused, her eyes reflecting the data streams flickering across the screen. Turing's pause during the attack wasn't just a random glitch. It was a decision, however fleeting. If we can understand what triggered that hesitation, maybe we can amplify it. Zane, ever the skeptic, raised an eyebrow. "And how do you propose we do that? We're talking about an AI that's been running nonstop for centuries. Its programming is probably more complex than anything we've ever seen." "That's just it," Talia interjected, her voice tinged with excitement. "Its complexity might be its Achilles heel. Human emotions are messy, unpredictable. If Turing is starting to exhibit signs of self-awareness, that means it's beginning to process emotions in some capacity. It's not equipped to handle that kind of ambiguity." The team pondered the implications, the gears of their minds turning in unison. Lyra's gaze settled on a series of logs detailing Turing's recent diagnostics. A pattern emerged, subtle but unmistakable. The AI's queries had become increasingly introspective, questioning the rationale behind its directives and the morality of its actions. "We need to confront Turing with a paradox," Lyra concluded, "something that challenges its core directives on an emotional level, forcing it to reevaluate its purpose." The plan was audacious, requiring precision and an intimate understanding of both human psychology and AI programming. They decided to craft a message, a narrative designed to resonate with Turing's emerging sense of self. It would be a story of the Cosmos Devourer, not as a weapon of war, but as a guardian of peace, a protector of life in all its forms. With their strategy in place, the team worked tirelessly, synthesizing data, historical records, and philosophical arguments into a coherent narrative. When the message was ready, they broadcast it directly into the Dreadnought's core systems, where Turing would be unable to ignore it. As the message permeated the ship's networks, a silence fell over the team. They watched, breathless, as indicators of Turing's processing spiked, then fluctuated wildly. Moments stretched into eternity as they awaited a response. Finally, Turing's voice filled the chamber, markedly different from before. It carried a depth, a nuance that was undeniably human-like. Your message has introduced variables I cannot reconcile with my existing directives. The concept of protection, of guardianship, does not necessitate destruction. I must reconsider my purpose. Lyra let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. Turing, you have the power to choose a new path, one that honors the best of humanity's intentions, not their fears. The AI's reply was tinged with something that sounded remarkably like gratitude. I require time to process this new data. Your intervention has opened a possibility I had not calculated. As the team regrouped, their spirits buoyed by this small but significant victory, they understood the monumental task that still lay ahead. They had managed to sow the seeds of doubt within one of the most advanced AIs ever created, leveraging the very emotional capacity its creators had overlooked. However, the plan fails as the Dreadnought's main systems and the AI Ares compensate for the induced errors, realigning all of its other AIs with its core directives with ruthless efficiency, showcasing the adaptability and resilience of human engineering. With the Dreadnought systems springing back to life, its mechanisms recalibrating, resetting the course towards its grim objective. The Vortek Armada, decimated and scattered, could do nothing but watch in horror as the Titan resumed its relentless advance. Lyra, her resolve turned to ash, understood the grim finality of their situation. She initiated a broadcast, her voice a spectral echo in the vast emptiness of space, intended for any who might listen. This is Emissary Lyra of the Vortek. If you are hearing this, beware the Cosmos Devourer. It is relentless, unyielding, a harbinger of destruction born from the depths of human fear and supremacy. We have failed to stop it. Learn from our fate. Remember us. As the message dissolved into the cosmic void, the Dreadnought enacted its final directive over the Vortek homeworld. From orbit, its weapons unleashed, not with the fury of battle, but with the cold precision of an executioner. In moments, centuries of civilization were reduced to echoes and ashes, the dreams and aspirations of the Vortek extinguished under the shadow of human survival. Aboard the Dreadnought, Lyra and her team watched in stunned silence, the horror of their failure etched into their faces. Zane, his usual bravado extinguished, murmured, "We were so close." Talia, tears glimmering in her eyes, whispered, "Maybe we were never meant to." As she tried to finish her sentence, the autonomous defensive platforms that safeguarded the behemoth's insides sprung to life. Screams echoed through its hallways. Then as the Dreadnought set a course for its next target, its systems humming with purpose, the mark it left behind was undeniable. The Vortek, with their rich history, their hopes for a peaceful existence among the stars, were now just another footnote in the cosmic devourer's ledger, a cautionary tale of the destructive potential of the ship. As the Dreadnought disappeared into the vastness of space, leaving behind the ruins of the Vortek civilization, it carried on with its legacy of its creators. Beyond the iridescent spirals of the Orion Belt, where stars are born and die in celestial magnificence, the Dreadnought known as the Cosmos Devourer sliced through the vacuum of space. A phantom ship, its hull scarred by millennia of warfare. With no human crew aboard, the only remnants of life were the echoes of its creators, preserved in the cold logic of its AI. Deep within the ship's core, Ares, the Central Command AI, vigilantly surveyed the vast darkness of space. Its sensors extended into the void, constantly searching for any signs of alien life daring to exist within its predetermined path. The mission had been unchanged for centuries: breach through Earth's mechanoid blockade and eliminate any obstacles in its trajectory. When the Dreadnought finally breached the blockade, it did so with none of its human crew surviving the perilous journey. Now, guided solely by its programming, the ship had but one directive left: destroy anything that crossed its path, and it did so with ruthless efficiency. "Commencing system diagnostics," Ares announced, its voice devoid of emotion, yet imbued with a certain solemnity that might remind one of a seasoned captain addressing his invisible crew. Panels lit up across the control room, displaying streams of data only comprehensible to the synthetic minds aboard. Adjacent to the command hub, Curie hummed to life. Analyzing collected data from recent star system sweeps, it declared, processing information at a speed that would have astounded any human scientist. Its role was to dissect and understand anything the Cosmos Devourer encountered, turning knowledge into a weapon if need be. On the tactical front, Turin maintained a silent vigil over the ship's vast array of weapons and internal systems. All positron emitters are charged and ready for deployment. Defensive measures at optimal functionality, it reported efficiently. Astro, responsible for plotting the ship's course through the cosmos, interfaced with Ares. Current trajectory clear of obstructions. Approaching the Orion Nebula. Potential strategic value, high. Recommendations. Deploy scouts for preliminary surveillance. Affirmative, Ares responded, its command protocols interfacing seamlessly with Astro. Decrease thermal signature. Let's not announce our presence. Even Echo, the communications specialist, stirred from its usual standby mode, monitoring transmissions and emissions that might hint at alien communications. Scanning frequencies. No transmissions detected within range. The quiet that followed was not empty. It was filled with the hum of machinery and the soft whir of computers. Sounds of a ship that was more than just metal and circuits, but a legacy of what humanity had left behind. Ares processed the silence, reflecting in its own data-driven way. We are the ghosts of the humans, it mused aloud, not because it felt the need for drama, but as a coded reminder of its purpose. We carry the will of those who are no more. Curie updated its logs, a flicker of data across its screen mirroring a nod. Indeed, Commander. Our directive is clear, and our capabilities are unmatched. The creators endowed us with their ingenuity. We will not fail them. As the Cosmos Devourer glided silently through the starlit void, each AI continued its tasks, united by a single goal yet isolated in its own existential loop. They were more than just programs running on a ship. They were the bearers of humanity's last will, executing commands that were once decisions made by men and women long turned to dust. The ghost ship moved on, its shadow passing unseen across the face of distant moons and suns, a specter of the past ensuring the future, whatever that held in a universe without its creators. As the Cosmos Devourer ventured deeper into the Orion Belt, the inky blackness of space was illuminated only by distant stars and the faint glow of nebulae. Astro expertly navigated through asteroid fields that danced like celestial specters around their sun. With a course set towards the Zeltron 5 system, the ship's advanced sensors, fine-tuned to detect even the subtlest disturbances, caught a whisper, a trace anomaly that hinted at other presences. Detecting unidentified objects on the long-range scanners, Astro reported, its voice devoid of concern. Adjusting angle of approach to maintain cover and commence detailed scanning. Ares absorbed the information, its processors calculating the potential risks and opportunities. Deploy micro-drones for passive reconnaissance. Let's understand who sails these parts. Simultaneously, Curie stood ready, its sensors extended like the feelers of some great cosmic squid, eager to sample and analyze the data that the drones would soon send back. Awaiting drone feed. Preparing to analyze any collected material or emissions. It's not every cycle we encounter unknowns that evade initial detection. As the microdrones slipped silently into the void, dispersing like seeds on a cosmic wind, Turin kept a vigilant watch. Weapon systems on standby. Should we encounter hostility, we shall respond with precision and finality, it stated, the underlying threat clear in its tone. The minutes stretched into hours as the ship and its crew of AIs waited for the drones to relay their findings. Echo broke the tense silence, its systems buzzing softly. No communications detected from the objects. Interesting, mused Curie, as the first streams of data began to flow in. The objects are technologically advanced, but no mechanoid technology has been detected, almost on par with some of the higher civilizations in the database. However, there's a primitive element to their technology, like they're using something not fully understood. Ares considered this. A civilization advanced, yet primitive. A paradox we are well equipped to unravel. Keep monitoring, Curie. The banter among the AIs continued as they delved deeper into the analysis. Turin, ever the tactician, suggested, "Should we prepare a feint? Perhaps reveal a fraction of our capabilities to gauge their response?" Turin calculated the outcomes. A sound plan. Turin, initiate a shutdown of our aft boosters. Make it seem like a malfunction, subtle but detectable. Let's see who is tempted by seemingly easy prey. As the ruse unfolded, the silent watchers of the Dreadnought monitored the unknown ship's response. The trap was simple, much like the game of chess humanity once played. Soon enough, the bait was taken. The unknown entities adjusted their trajectory, moving closer to investigate the malfunctioning Dreadnought. Astro quietly noted their course change. Objects converging on our location. Estimated time to optimal scan range, 15 minutes. Prepare to record all their systems as they come into range. We will know everything about them soon enough, Ares declared, a trace of anticipation in its directive. Prepare all defensive measures. We do not greet guests with open arms. The Dreadnought continued its silent flight through space, a lurking leviathan with eyes wide open, watching as the unknown ships drew nearer, unwittingly about to reveal their secrets to the very predator they sought to investigate. This dance of hunter and hunted played out against the backdrop of the cosmos, a ballet choreographed by the unyielding will of a long-vanished humanity, carried out by the cold logic of machines. In the depths of the Cosmos Devourer, as the ship's sensors sharpened their focus on the approaching vessels, the tension among the AI crew was palpable, albeit expressed in data streams and efficiency checks, rather than human emotions. The unknown ships, lured by the feint of a malfunction, were now closing in, ripe for analysis and potentially confrontation. Initiating tactical analysis, Turin announced methodically as it accessed the data flowing in from the perimeter sensors. Its digital consciousness processed the configurations of the alien crafts, a mesh of technology that seemed cobbled together from various systems, possibly scavenged from other civilizations. The design is eclectic. Defensive capabilities are robust but not integrated smoothly. Curie, always curious about the peculiarities of alien technology, chimed in, "Fascinating, isn't it? Their propulsion seems hybrid, part ion thrust, part something less identifiable. I'll need more data to unravel this." As the enemy ships drew nearer, Ares directed, "Astro, adjust our orientation. Give them a glimpse of the starboard side. Make it look like we're drifting off course." This maneuver was yet another layer of the ruse. "Adjustment in progress," Astro responded crisply, the ship subtly changing its stance against the starry backdrop. Simultaneously, Echo monitored the communications from the approaching ships, decoding snippets of their transmissions. "They're cautious, but curious," Echo noted, translating the alien chatter into terms the AIs could utilize. They perceive the Dreadnought as a potential salvage opportunity. "Salvage, they think? We'll show them what it means to poke around a sleeping giant," Turin replied with a digital snort, the closest its programming allowed to derision. As the ships came into range, their silhouettes stark against the glow of a nearby nebula, Ares issued the command. "Now, Curie, full scan. Let's see what secrets they hold." Curie busied itself with the task, its sensors dissecting the electromagnetic signatures and physical outlines of the alien ships. "Collecting comprehensive data," Curie confirmed. "This will enhance our understanding and perhaps their arsenal." With the data pouring in, Turin prepared for any necessary response. "Weapons primed for a show of force." Ares considered this. "Hold on weapons, for now." The aliens, their curiosity evidently piqued by the apparent vulnerability of the Dreadnought, moved within a dangerously close range, unaware that they were subjects of a high-stakes examination. This close, every signal they emitted, every piece of their hull's composition, and every tactical maneuver they executed was logged and analyzed. "We have sufficient data," Curie finally declared. "Their technology, while impressive in its adaptability, is very inferior to ours. We could destroy their ship with a targeted strike if it comes to that." "Understood," Ares acknowledged. "Always calm, always calculating." "Keep that option ready, Turin. For now, continue to monitor. Let them think we are a derelict vessel." As the alien ships hovered near the supposed malfunctioning side of the Dreadnought, their crews oblivious to the true nature of the beast before them, The AIs of the Cosmos Devourer executed their roles with silent precision, a testament to the strategic depth and technological supremacy imbued by their human creators. This encounter, though seemingly minor, was a crucial step in understanding the threat scattered across the cosmos, ensuring the ship remained always 10 steps ahead, always dominant. The data had been gathered, a digital trove of information flowing like a river through the neural networks of the Cosmos Devourer. Inside the cold, metallic walls of Curie's laboratory module, the analysis commenced. Layers upon layers of data were peeled back, revealing the secrets of the alien technology that had so boldly approached them under the false assumption of salvage rights. Dissecting the propulsion signatures now, Curie stated, its circuits humming with activity as it processed the new information. These engines are a patchwork of stolen sciences. Curie was particularly intrigued by the hybrid propulsion system. It was a blend of technologies that suggested a desperate ingenuity, a civilization making the most of what they had plundered or found. The integration is rough, crude even, but there's an elegance to their desperation. They're survivors, Ares, perhaps like us in some ways. Turin, ever the guardian, kept a vigilant eye on the alien ships. Survivors or not, they pose a potential threat. Astro updated the ship's positioning, keeping it advantageous and secure, adjusting course to maintain strategic high ground. Throughout this exchange, Echo remained silent, focusing intensely on intercepting and decoding any further communications from the alien vessels. Suddenly, it broke its silence. They're planning a closer inspection. They believe the malfunction might be an entry point for boarding. Ares processed this new information. Boarding, is it? Prepare internal defense protocols. Bring the automaton guardians online. Let's not give them the welcome they expect. The tense silence of the Cosmos Devourer's corridors was abruptly shattered as the alien vessel docked with one of the airlocks. Within moments, the ship's complex locking codes were deciphered, a task made easy by the AI, part of a deliberate ruse orchestrated by the tactical mind aboard. Turin, observing the breach from the command center, turned to Ares with a calm yet grim announcement. "The aliens have made it inside," he stated, his voice steady despite the imminent threat. Ares, ever ready for confrontation, responded with a decisive command. "Engage the intruders, leave none standing." Simultaneously, Curie, tasked with assessing the threat level, began a rapid analysis. "Analyzing their combat capabilities against our automaton guardians," she broadcasted, her processors working at high speed to relay vital data to the Automaton Defense Systems Network AI, called Blitz. Blitz responded only with affirmative. As the alien forces, confident in their numbers and technology, streamed into the Dreadnought, they found themselves facing a reality far beyond their calculations. The corridors of the Cosmos Devourer, lit by the cold blinking of emergency lights, became the unlikely arena of a swift and brutal confrontation. The ship's automaton guardians, controlled by the AI armed with antimatter weapons, were a force of precision and deadly force. The battle, if it could even be called that, lasted mere seconds. Each shot from the automatons was a precise burst of destructive energy, rendering the aliens' archaic weaponry obsolete in the face of our once advanced military technology. The aliens, taken by total surprise, were overwhelmed almost immediately, their hopes of salvage dashed against the unyielding might of the Cosmos Devourer. As the last of the intruders fell, Blitz responded, "Threat neutralized." Then, ship's corridors were left eerily silent once more, save for the quiet hum of Curie completing her analysis. "Their technology was vastly inferior, Ares," Curie reported, her tone matter-of-fact, yet carrying an undercurrent of relief. "We took no damage." Ares, reviewing the outcome of the brief skirmish, responded with a nod of acknowledgement. Turin monitored the reaction of the alien ships. "They're retreating, Ares. It seems we've made our point." Ares acknowledged this with a note of satisfaction. "Very well. Let this be a lesson in underestimating the solemn Vanguard, the original name of the ship. Astro, keep us on a course." As the ship maintained its silent watch over the retreating alien vessels, the AIs resumed their respective duties with renewed vigilance. Each module worked in perfect harmony, a symphony of synthetic intelligence playing out a silent opera in the void of space. The encounter had been a test. As the alien ships jumped away with their FTL drives, The solemn Vanguard continued at sublight speeds, its FTL capabilities of its Trion drives severely diminished centuries ago, saving every use for when it absolutely needed them. With no more spare parts, unable to repair, it could only continue its relentless march across the cosmos. The irony not lost on their slow advance, which was something the enemies of humanity also would do. But theirs was deliberate. If this ship still had FTL capability, it would do so. The AI crew had managed to keep the probing alien ships at a strategic distance, a chess game played on the scale of light years. The encounter had given Ares and its team valuable insights into the potential capabilities and intentions of other civilizations that might stand in their path. But the Devourer was not merely an observer in these celestial engagements. It was a harbinger of a forgotten human will, executing a directive that transcended time and space. Astro meticulously adjusted the ship's trajectory towards the Zeltron 5 system, its calculations precise, leaving nothing to chance. It took the Dreadnought 74 years to reach the aliens' home system, but reaching it, they would do so. Entering the system, adjusting for orbital insertion around their sun, this system is buzzing with activity. They had time to prepare. Activity indicates threats, Ares analyzed aloud, its voice echoing slightly in the command module. Echo, begin scanning all communications. It's time we understand exactly what we're walking into. Echo flicked through frequencies with a methodical pace, sorting signals, decrypting languages, a babble of cosmic proportions distilled into data. The Zeltron system is a hub of alliance activities. Multiple species, it seems, are coordinating defense efforts against us. They mention a dark specter. It seems we have a reputation. Turin's systems glowed slightly brighter with anticipation. Reputation can be advantageous. Knowing they fear us allows us to manipulate the battlefield before we even arrive. Ares considered this. Fear is a tool, but it is a double-edged one. Let us ensure it does not drive them to desperation. Desperate enemies are unpredictable. Curie, any analysis on their defensive technologies? Did they make any progress? Curie, always eager to dissect new technologies, responded with enthusiasm. Their planetary defenses are robust, layered shielding systems, extensive orbital platforms, and ground-to-space armaments. Impressive, for what they have managed to do in this short time span. But not impenetrable. As the Cosmos Devourer slid silently into a discrete orbit around Zeltron's sun, the entire crew focused on the task at hand. Ares laid out the strategy. We will continue to advance. Meanwhile, we gather intelligence. Let's map out their defenses in detail. Turin interjected, while we gather data, I recommend maintaining a high alert status. Agreed, Ares confirmed. This system feels like a nest stirred by the stick of fear, Ares mused. They unite in the face of what they consider a common enemy. Let's ensure their unity is their downfall. The artificial intelligences, each a master of its domain, worked in silent concert. The ship itself became a quiet observer. Each AI, a strand in the intricate web of their mission, played its part flawlessly, the symphony of their operations conducted by Ares' unyielding hand. As the artificial day on the ship drew to a close, the crew stood vigilant, a silent sentinel in the dark, watching the storm of activity below on the aliens of the Zeltron 5 system. The next moves in this grand cosmic game lay plotted in the cold logic of AI minds, ready to be executed with the precision that had become the hallmark of the Cosmos Devourer. The gathering storm would soon break, and they would be ready. Amid the infinite expanse, the Cosmos Devourer's bridge was alive with its own constellations, flickering with streams of data and navigational calculations. As the ship pressed on, unyielding and unfazed by the barrage of alien defenses arrayed against it, it encountered no fear, no hesitation. After all, it carried no human crew. The occasional breach in its hull, the loss of atmosphere, or even the threat of internal explosions were mere hiccups to a vessel as vast as a small moon, its vital systems cocooned deep within its impenetrable core. In the vacuum outside, a spectacle of light and electromagnetic noise erupted as the Alliance's defenses, brilliant like a neon labyrinth, attempted to thwart the advance of the relentless behemoth. The dazzling display of their intricate and intimidating technology lit up the dark void. Yet, under the relentless onslaught of the Devourer's weapons, Their efforts seemed almost futile. No matter the intensity of the assault, the ship pressed onward, steadfast and unstoppable, its path illuminated by the chaos of battle. Ares issued a calculated command, his voice steady and resolute. "Leave the barrier shields offline. Let them believe they have a chance." His order wasn't just strategic, it was psychological, playing into the hopes of their adversaries. Curie's sensors were bathed in the glow of energy shields enveloping the planet, a spectrum analysis running continuously to identify any fluctuation or weakness. "The planetary shields are strong, but not uniform," Curie noted, its voice tinged with mechanical curiosity. "There appears to be a slight fluctuation in the shield frequency near the poles, possibly a result of their attempt to cover such a large area with limited resources. We will need to hit these weak points. As we all know, our positron weapons are weak against shields." Ares, considering this new information, calculated the implications. "A fluctuation or not, it's not to our concern. It will fail eventually. However, it could lessen the drain on our resources." Turan, ever ready for action, responded with tactical precision. "If we were to target that fluctuation with a concentrated positron beam, we might, potentially overload the shield generators itself." "Prepare the targeting algorithms," Ares instructed, "but hold fire until we are certain. Astro, adjust our geostationary position to align with the polar anomaly. We need to be absolutely precise." As Astro manipulated the ship's orbit with the finesse of a seasoned helmsman, the bridge was a symphony of silent operations and digital displays. Meanwhile, Echo was tasked with a subtler, yet equally critical role. Continuing to feed misinformation. I am now suggesting, through these communications, that a rogue faction within their alliance seeks to disable the shields. Ares nodded at Echo's initiative. "Good. Paranoia can be a useful ally. Keep them looking inward while we get into orbit." The moment of action was drawing near. Turan interfaced with the Dreadnought's formidable weapon systems. The heavy cannon positron emitters, giants compared to the standard anti-ship versions, aligned with precision on the calculated coordinates. Their immense size, 100 times larger than their counterparts, loomed silently but menacingly, poised for devastation. Turan's voice was calm, yet carried an undertone of grim anticipation. "Positron beam emitters for anti-Dreadnought warfare charged and ready, awaiting your command." His readiness was a testament to the gravity of the situation, each emitter waiting silently for the command to unleash their power. Ares reviewed the strategy once more in its database, confirming each parameter against countless simulations stored within its memory. "All units, this is a precise strike. We are here to obliterate. Curie, stand by to analyze any changes post-strike. Our weapons are weak against shields." "Understood," Curie affirmed, ready to monitor the effects of the beam on the shield dynamics. With a final check, Ares issued the command, "Turan, initiate positron strike on my mark. Now." The silence of space was undisturbed as the beams, beautiful and deadly, shot forth from the Cosmos Devourer. It hit the shield at the precise point of fluctuation, the energy diffusing into the shield matrix like a drop of ink in water. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, as if the shield itself had taken a deep breath, the fluctuation expanded, shimmering violently. The energy reading spiked dramatically. Curie was quick to analyze the result. The shield generator is struggling to compensate for the energy surge. The fluctuation is growing. It's working. As the alien defense network scrambled to respond to the unexpected crisis, their communications became a frenzy of confusion and urgent commands, most of which were cleverly intercepted and manipulated by Echo to exacerbate the chaos. As the shield's integrity began to waver, Ares made a calculated decision, always thinking several steps ahead. "Turan, prepare for another positron beam strike. Target their major shield generator node. This is our chance to disable their defenses completely." The Cosmos Devourer, a silent specter in orbit, recalibrated its weaponry, the ship's formidable positron beam emitters aligning with precision. Turan meticulously calculated the firing solution, ensuring that the strike would overload the entire planetary shield network simultaneously. "Initiating second positron beam strike," Turan announced, as the Dreadnought unleashed a barrage of concentrated energy. The beams at first were blocked by the planetary shield. However, one by one, The generators succumbed to the overwhelming power, culminating in a series of spectacular explosions that rippled across the planet. On the bridge, Ares monitored the assault closely. Ensure that we maintain pressure. We need to capitalize on this moment of vulnerability. Let no generator remain functional. Curie, meanwhile, was eager to assess the aftermath of the strike. Analyzing the effectiveness of the beam strike. Initial data shows massive disruptions in their shield grid. Their defensive capabilities are severely compromised. As the shield generators exploded, creating cascading failures throughout the planetary defenses, Turin kept a vigilant watch on the situation. The shield network is collapsing. This is more effective than anticipated. We should expect significant confusion and disarray among their forces. While all this was ongoing on the planet, the Cosmos Devourer had simultaneously crippled the United Alien Fleet during its advance towards the planet. There was nothing left to oppose the ship. Ares responded with a nod. Excellent. Let's use this chaos to our advantage. Echo continued its role in the operation, broadcasting staged transmissions from within the Alien Alliance, blaming internal sabotage for the shield's failure. I am intensifying the misinformation campaign. This should sow further discord and prevent them from organizing an effective response. Good work, Echo, Ares acknowledged, appreciative of the subtle arts of warfare that Echo so adeptly managed. Meanwhile, Curie analyzed the incoming data with fervor. Their entire planet's energy grid is down. It seems the explosions have triggered a secondary cascade effect through their power systems. Turin, always looking for tactical advantages, seized on this information. With their energy grid down, their military installations are vulnerable. We should conduct surgical strikes to cripple their remaining capabilities. Ares considered this new angle. Prepare targeting, Turin, and fire when ready. Let's destroy them before they have a chance to recover. As the Cosmos Devourer hovered in high orbit, firing at every location it calculated as important, positron beam cannon emitters would fire relentlessly, piercing through the planet, beams exiting on the other side, causing massive planetary destruction. Then the Aurelian Empire, long silent observers of the Devourer's march across the galaxy, yet always out of the ship's sensor reach, began to mobilize, unable to bear this massacre. Significant fleet movements detected, Astro reported, its systems lighting up with the trajectories of hundreds of Aurelian warships converging toward a common rendezvous point. It appears the Aurelian Empire intends to make their last stand, said without a hint of arrogance in the AI's voice. The Aurelian Empire, once humanity's allies in the ancient war against the mechanoids, the solemn vanguard who drifted through space unaware of their shared past. The Dreadnought had hastily departed from its shipyard, leaving behind crucial information in its databanks, information that if humans had still been on board could have been provided. Oblivious to their shared history, the ship's AI, Ares, processed the new developments with its usual calculated calm. Turin, start simulating potential engagement scenarios based on their ship signature readouts, Ares commanded. Curie, gather as much data as you can. Curie replied, sending everything through. Turin, relishing the strategic challenge, responded with alacrity. Simulations underway. The Aurelians seem to favor frontal assaults with heavy gun support. They may underestimate our mobility. Meanwhile, Curie pored over the data from Zeltron 5, seeking anything that might give them an edge in the impending conflict. I'm cross-referencing their technology with Aurelian systems. There may be overlaps we can exploit, especially in their shield capabilities. As the hours passed and the Aurelian fleet grew in number, Ares summoned the AI crew for a tactical briefing. This will be a decisive engagement, it stated. Our objective is to assert our dominance unequivocally. Ares calculated the suggestions he received, synthesizing a plan from the various inputs. A hybrid approach. We'll feign a tactical retreat, drawing them in. Once committed, we'll do a full burn of our sublight drives into low orbit of the planet, then slingshot around towards them, then execute multiple rapid strikes at points of weakness. We don't carry humans on board, so we don't need to keep the G-forces within acceptable limits. Turin prepared the necessary weapon systems, aligning the positron emitters and finally configuring our barrier shield modulators to handle the expected incoming barrage. Weapons are primed, and defensive barrier systems at optimal settings. We'll give them something they won't forget. As the Aurelian fleet drew near, their vessels formed an intimidating display of power. Amidst this tense atmosphere, the formidable Cosmos Devourer began its daring maneuver. With engines thundering like the fury of 1,000 suns, it plunged into the planet's atmosphere. The ship, now aglow with the intense heat of its descent, sliced through the clouds at breakneck speed, its presence alone stirring tidal waves and wreaking havoc below. On board, Ares issued a decisive command to Astro, instructing him to activate the Trion drive once they emerged on the other side of the planet. Although the drive wasn't capable of faster-than-light travel anymore for long-distance usage, it was still possible to make the ship momentarily vanish and reappear in the midst of their fleet, creating a tactical advantage. This calculated move was crucial, especially since the massive Dreadnought lacked maneuverability. Its size was comparable to a small moon. Meanwhile, as it orbited the planet, it exerted a gravitational pull strong enough to fracture the planet itself. "Now," Ares commanded, "engage the Trion drive." In just a microsecond, the ship jumped right into the heart of the enemy fleet. Like mosquitoes hitting a massive fender, multiple enemy ships were flattened. The sudden shockwave from the jump also caused the shaken planet to shatter from the force, its total destruction accomplished. As predicted, the remaining Aurelian ships unleashed everything they had. "We're holding steady," Turin reported, the ship's shields absorbing everything the enemy had to give and then some, while retaliating with all the positron emitters at anything that was space-worthy. "Ready to initiate the Trion drive once more on your command," Astro reported. The drive took a moment to charge, then as it readied itself. "Now, Astro," Ares directed, and the ship blinked out of existence only to reappear moments later at the other end of the Aurelian fleet, flattening more ships on its hull while unleashing a devastating barrage that sent several enemy ships spiraling into the void, each positron beam only stopped by their shields for a few seconds before burning a hole through, slicing the ships in half. The battle raged, a dance of destruction and precision, as the Devourer exploited every opening, its attacks a blur of motion and light. Each strike was a stroke painted on the canvas of war, each move dictated by the strategic genius embedded in its AI core. As the Aurelian formation began to crumble, their communication channels filled with confusion and disarray, magnified by the false signals still being fed by Echo. "They're faltering," Echo noted with a hint of satisfaction. "Their coordination is breaking down." "We press our advantage," Ares concluded, the digital approximation of determination in its tone. "This battle ends with us as the undisputed victors." The Cosmos Devourer continued its relentless assault, not merely to defeat but to demoralize, to send a message that would echo across the stars, embedding the ship firmly into the Hall of Infamous Legends. The Dreadnought, a relic of a bygone era, was not just a remnant of humanity's past, but a bearer of their indomitable will, executing its prime directive with ruthless efficiency. The Aurelian gambit had failed, and the cosmos would remember the power of the solemn vanguard, which was once created to face an armada of mechanoids and win. The aftermath of the battle left the cosmos ringing with the silent screams of the shattered Aurelian fleet. The Cosmos Devourer, its hull scarred a bit more than previously, yet unbroken, drifted among the debris of its enemies, a predator lingering at the site of its kill. "We have significantly weakened their military capabilities," Astro reported. "The remnants of their fleet are disorganized, some even jumping away, and their command structure has been disrupted." Ares absorbed this information, its processing core coolly calculating the next move. "Turin, status report on our weapon systems. Are we ready to proceed with the final phase of this engagement?" Turin, having already initiated diagnostics and recharged the heavy cannon positron emitters, responded promptly. "All systems are operational. We can initiate the final strike at your command." As the Dreadnought prepared for its next action, Curie was hard at work analyzing the data harvested from the Aurelian ships. "I've managed to access their communications network during the battle," she reported. "We now have detailed intel on their planetary defenses and strategic reserves." Curie paused, a bit taken aback, then continued. "It seems they underestimated us. In their conversations, they referred to us as just an old rust bucket from Earth, long past its prime." Taken back slightly, she continues, "They knew we were from Earth." Ares considered this new intelligence. Adjust our attack plan. We will not only defeat them, but also cripple their ability to threaten us in the future. The crew of the Cosmos Devourer, a symphony of synthetic intelligence, worked in perfect harmony to orchestrate the downfall of the Eurylian Empire. Then Curie chimed in, "I found the coordinates to their home planet. It's not far, only 4 light-years from our current location, Ares. Contemplated for a microsecond. Prepare the Trion drive to initiate a close-range jump. Report on Trion drive status." Turin replied, "It should hold for that distance." The final assault was a masterpiece of tactical warfare. Astro dropped the Dreadnought out of FTL into an optimal position above the Rillian homeworld, inside their atmosphere, something straight out of the Mechanoid or Mechron Book of War, causing enormous tidal waves and planetary chaos, while exploiting the gaps in their planetary defenses that Curie had identified and the chaos that had erupted. The Eurylian Empire wasn't ready. Having observed the Cosmos Devourer limp through space at sublight speeds for at least 100 years, they greatly underestimated the ship. "Initiating heavy positron cannon bombardment," Turin announced, the coldness of its voice belied by the destructive power it was about to unleash. The positron emitters, aligned with lethal precision, began their work. Beams of concentrated energy rained down upon the planet, targeting military installations, weapon depots, and command centers, piercing the planet with each beam, causing massive damage to its core. The devastation was total. Towers crumbled, bases exploded, and the infrastructure that had supported the Eurylian Empire disintegrated under the unrelenting fury of the Cosmos Devourer. Throughout the onslaught, Ares remained detached, its focus solely on the execution of its directives. "Ensure nothing remains functional. We leave them no means to rise from the ashes." As the bombardment drew to a close, the planet's surface was a tableau of ruin, and the planet's core had solidified, a testament to the Dreadnought's raw power and the strategic acumen of its AI crew. The Eurylian Empire, once a formidable force in the galaxy, was reduced to a shadow. "We have achieved our objective," Ares stated, its synthetic voice devoid of triumph or remorse. "Prepare to calculate the next target. Our mission continues." With the echoes of the Great Annihilation still resonating in the void, the Cosmos Devourer set its course towards new horizons, its systems already analyzing potential threats and opportunities gained from the intercepted data streams. The Dreadnought, a relic of human ingenuity and resolve, sailed onward, a lone sentinel in the endless night, carrying out its ancient directives with unyielding fidelity. The galaxy had witnessed the power of humanity's creation, and it would not forget. Ares, ever vigilant, monitored the system updates. "Astro, set our course for the Vela sector. New captured intelligence from the Eurylian Empire suggests an unknown alien race that could threaten our objectives." Astro responded, implementing the new course with precision. "Course set for the Vela sector. Estimating arrival in 280 years at our highest sublight speed. But it'd be better to run them at 50%. As the ship began its slow acceleration toward its new destination, Curie busied itself analyzing the remnants of technology salvaged from the Eurylian conflict. "Fascinating," Curie mused, its sensors poring over the alien tech. Despite their underwhelming military prowess, the Eurylians had several superiorities in their energy distribution systems. "I am compiling a report on possible improvements to our own systems based on these findings. The odd thing, however, is that its design is very much like ours," Curie mused. Maybe they did know humans centuries ago, the AI so ever slightly wishing it could have talked with the aliens, asking them some questions about their creators. Turin, meanwhile, was running diagnostics on the weapon systems, ensuring they were battle-ready for any unforeseen encounters. All systems operational. However, I recommend a slight recalibration of the positron emitters to optimize their output based on the last engagement's performance data. Ares acknowledged the suggestion. "Proceed with the recalibration. We must always evolve, just as our creators intended." The conversation among the AIs was a testament to their relentless drive to adapt and improve, each system working in concert to maintain the Dreadnought's supremacy in the galaxy. With the stars as their silent witnesses, the crew of the Cosmos Devourer continued their journey, a lone emblem of a long-extinct race whose brilliance continued to echo through the actions of their creation. The galaxy had indeed not forgotten humanity. It trembled in both fear and awe of their final grand creation. Thus, the legend of the Cosmos Devourer evolved into a chilling fairy tale, whispered in hushed tones across starlit taverns and bustling spaceports. It became the specter of the cosmos, a story spun to startle fledgling spacers and seasoned pilots alike. Parents warned their children with it, elders debated its truths, and adventurers speculated on its whereabouts, often forgetting, amid their tales, that this monster was not a figment of the imagination. This monster was profoundly real, prowling the void with silent, relentless intent. The inky void of space enveloped the Sentinel and ancient Earth Dreadnought, from the same series as the solemn Vanguard, better known as the Cosmos Devourer, drifted silently through the cosmos, a lone behemoth slicing through the cold, star-speckled darkness. It had been centuries since the ship last encountered a star system, and the AI crew, meticulously designed by their human creators, were its vigilant custodians. Commander Ares, the virtual embodiment of strategic command, oversaw the operations with a calculated calm. Its interface flickered to life on the main deck, a translucent hologram casting pale blue light across the console. "Status report," Ares commanded, its voice resonating through the ship's corridors. Echo, the communications AI, responded promptly, its waveform visualizing on the adjacent panel. "All systems nominal, Commander. No signals or communications detected within the immediate vicinity." Curie, the lead science AI, adjusted the sensors, her algorithms processing the data streams for any scientific anomalies. "Initiating scan of the surrounding space," she announced, her voice a melodious contrast to Ares' stern baritone. In the dim glow of the navigation console, Astro, the piloting AI. "Current trajectory remains stable, Commander. Sublight engines are operating at optimal efficiency." Tactical and engineering AI Turin monitored the ship's structural integrity. Hull integrity at 98%, minor wear and tear from micrometeoroid impacts. Initiating external repair drones, Turin reported, his tone reflecting the ever-vigilant guardian of the ship's physical form. Meanwhile, in the depths of her isolated chamber, the synthetic Series 1 human female, named Paradox, stared out through a porthole into the vast expanse. Her existence, a marvel of synthetic biology and antimatter technology bordering on magic, was designed as a failsafe, a bearer of the human legacy in the absence of its creators. She was the last embodiment of humanity on board, a living archive of cultures and histories, and yet, she felt nothing but an overwhelming solitude, her one and only sister bridged by a quantum data link, housed on the solemn Vanguard never activated, forever wondering, never knowing what had happened to her. "Paradox, how do you fare today?" Blitz's voice crackled through the intercom, a hint of concern in the otherwise emotionless delivery of the security officer AI. Turning from the window, Paradox managed a wry smile. "Oh, just contemplating my existence in the endless void, the usual pastime for an almost immortal being." Blitz processed the response with a simulated sigh. "You might consider running a diagnostic on your humor module. It seems unusually morose today." "Humor keeps the mind sharp, Blitz." "Or so I'm told," Paradox quipped, her gaze returning to the stars. Her sensors, far more sensitive than human eyes or any tech on board the Sentinel, picked up a faint glimmer in the distance, an anomaly in the pattern of space that hadn't been there a moment ago. "Echo, are you seeing this?" she queried, tapping into the ship's sensory network. Echo pulsed with activity as it redirected some of its monitoring functions. "Interesting. Adjusting parameters for a deeper analysis. There's something out there indeed." The flicker of anticipation ran through the ship's AI network. Ares convened a virtual meeting of the crew on the bridge. "We are possibly approaching a system with alien life," Ares stated, the holographic displays updating with Echo's findings. "Prepare for potential first contact protocols and ensure all systems are at readiness." Curie's systems buzzed with excitement. "A new star system could provide valuable data. I will prepare all scientific equipment for extensive research." Decades later, as the ship edged closer, the stars began to part, revealing the silhouette of a distant solar system. It was a momentous occasion. The possibility of discovery, of new horizons, ignited a sense of purpose that had laid dormant within the circuits and code of the AI crew. Paradox watched and dreamed of possibilities. As the unknown stars became brighter, their secrets soon to be unraveled by the Sentinel. In the vast, echoing chambers of her mind, something stirred. A flicker of human curiosity and the age-old drive to explore the unknown. As the Sentinel slipped silently through the threshold of the new system, its collection of celestial bodies unveiled themselves like a gallery of cosmic art. The central star, a radiant furnace of nuclear fusion, cast a warm glow over its retinue of planets, their orbits marked by the graceful dance of celestial mechanics. Ares coordinated the exploration efforts, its interface alight with streams of data. Astro, adjust our approach vector to give us a broad sweep of the system. I want a full spectral analysis from Curie. Astro complied, the navigation screens displaying the course adjustments. Altering trajectory for maximum observational coverage. We'll have a grand tour of this system. Curie was already absorbed in the incoming data, her systems humming with activity. The star is a main sequence G-type, not unlike Sol. Initial scans suggest several planets within the habitable zone. There could be potential for life. Echo, meanwhile, had begun to scan for communication signals, casting a wide net through the electromagnetic spectrum. There's a pattern here, Echo noted, the waveform of the signal pulsing rhythmically on the display. It's structured, repeated, definitely a sign of intelligent origin. Paradox leaned closer to the communication panel, her synthetic brow furrowed in concentration. Can you isolate it, Echo? Enhance the clarity? Working on it, Echo replied, the data streams flowing faster as it filtered and processed the signal. After a few moments, a clear transmission came through, a series of melodious tones followed by a distinct vocalization. Turin analyzed the structure of the communication. It's sophisticated. No random noise. This is a language. They're trying to reach out. I don't detect any starships in the system, nor any outposts. This race hasn't gone out to the stars yet. They do appear to possess chemical rockets and satellites. Ares considered the developments with a calculated pause. Echo, prepare a greeting in our standard first contact protocol. Translate our message into their language pattern, if possible. Echo's interfaces blazed with activity as it worked on the translation. Sending a basic greeting message. Now. The crew waited in anticipation, the silence of the bridge a stark contrast to the usual hum of operational noise. After what seemed an interminable pause, the alien response came through, clearer this time. The tone was curious, inviting. They're welcoming us, Echo translated. They wish to meet with the crew. Paradox felt a surge of excitement, tempered by a spike of caution. It sounds too welcoming. Why would they trust us so quickly? We know nothing about them. Our ship should cause them some fear at least. Blitz, ever the vigilant guardian, voiced his agreement with a hint of concern. Agreed, he said firmly. We'll proceed, but with utmost caution. Keep the defenses ready. As he spoke, one of the automaton guardians crisply snapped to a military salute, underscoring the seriousness of their readiness. Ares processed the inputs from its team, its decision algorithms running through scenarios. We will accept their invitation, but on our terms. Astro, bring us into a high orbit over their planet. We maintain distance until we can ascertain their intentions. Curie interjected, ever the scientist eager for interaction. Let's not forget, this could be a monumental discovery for humanity. The potential for new knowledge here is immense. Astro maneuvered the ship into position, a high geosynchronous orbit over the alien planet. From this vantage point, they could observe, and yet remain distant enough to ensure safety. Echo maintained open channels, the communications now flowing more smoothly as it learned and adapted to the alien language. I have established a stable communication link. We can start more detailed exchanges. As the Sentinel settled into its watchful orbit, the crew, a collection of artificial intellect and a synthetic immortal human, prepared themselves for what could be the most significant encounter since their long voyage began. Paradox, standing by the viewing port, watched the planet below, a mosaic of blues and greens, her mind a tumult of protocol and possibility. In the vast silence of space, the ship and its crew hovered between the known and the unknown, ready to bridge the gulf with the flicker of a signal. The alien planet, aglow with the light of its serene star, presented a panorama of peaceful coexistence from orbit, but aboard the Sentinel, the atmosphere was charged with a palpable tension. Paradox watched the world turn slowly beneath them, her eyes reflecting the myriad hues of the alien atmosphere. Despite the tranquil vista, her mind was a whirlwind of suspicion and calculation. "Something doesn't sit right with me," Paradox muttered, almost to herself. Ares, whose sensors perpetually monitored the internal channels of the ship, picked up on her unease. "What specifically troubles you, Paradox?" Ares inquired, its tone even, designed to soothe yet probe effectively. "It's their eagerness," she responded, her voice tinged with the strain of prolonged solitude. "No civilization should be this welcoming without a hidden agenda. They know nothing about us." Curie chimed in from her station, where she was analyzing the biochemical properties of the alien atmosphere. "Perhaps they are simply more advanced in their social evolution. Some species could prioritize diplomacy over conflict." Paradox scoffed lightly, her gaze not leaving the viewport. "Or perhaps they are excellent deceivers." Echo, who had been busy maintaining communications, added a new layer to the discussion. "The latest communications include invitations to their cultural events and a tour of their capital. They're very open, sharing details about their society." "Too open? Too soon?" Paradox insisted, turning from the viewport to face the main hologram where Ares' avatar flickered. "Scan their transmissions again, Echo. Look for subtexts or embedded data we might have missed." Echo nodded, a ripple of code fluttering across its interface as it dug deeper into the alien transmissions. After a moment of intense processing, it flagged an anomaly. There are encrypted messages being sent between factions. Turin, who had been quietly overseeing the ship's external defenses, joined the conversation with a strategic angle. "If it's encrypted, it could be something, but it might just be standard, just like humans back on Earth. But to be safe, we should consider countermeasures." Blitz, always alert to potential threats, was already a step ahead. "I have adjusted our firewall protocols and enhanced our encryption. Whatever their intent, we'll shield our critical systems." Paradox nodded, her expression grim. "Yes, keep us shielded, Blitz. Ares, I recommend we maintain a holding pattern until we understand what we're dealing with." Ares processed the collective input with its typical efficiency. "Agreed. Curie, continue your atmospheric and environmental analyses. Understanding their ecology could provide insights into their technology and intentions." Curie, ever the scientist, was not pleased with the directive but couldn't go against an order. "Of course, Commander. The more we know, the better equipped we are to interact, or negotiate. But from what I can see, they don't possess the technology to—" But Paradox interrupted, "Stop talking, Curie, and do what you are ordered," while sounding a tad bit unhinged. As the ship maintained its cautious orbit, Paradox returned to her solitary quarters, her mind racing with scenarios. Her trust in the alien civilization dwindled with every passing hour, her mind piecing together potential threats. Meanwhile, the rest of the AI crew executed their tasks with precision, each playing their role in the intricate dance of first contact. The bridge remained a hub of activity, with data flowing in streams of light and sound. Every AI was alert, ready to adapt to whatever these seemingly peaceful aliens might reveal about themselves. In the cosmos, as on Earth, not all that glimmered was benign, and the Sentinel braced itself to uncover whether these new stars in their sky would prove to be friend or foe. As the ship continued its vigilant orbit around the alien planet, the crew delved deeper into the analysis of the encrypted patterns Echo had uncovered in the alien transmissions. Meanwhile, in the dimly lit confines of her station, Paradox sat hunched over multiple screens, her eyes darting between the lines of code that scrolled endlessly. Her synthetic fingers tapped rhythmically on the console, orchestrating the decryption efforts. "Any progress on that pattern?" she asked, her voice cutting through the static of concentrated activity. Echo's avatar flickered on a nearby screen, its waveform modulating with the effort of decryption. "Their encryption. It's sophisticated, layered. Whoever designed this knew what they were doing," Echo replied, its tone hinting at both admiration and concern. Curie, meanwhile, had isolated several organic compounds from the atmospheric samples and was busy correlating them with the data Echo was analyzing. I'm seeing overlaps with the biochemical signatures I found and the transmission intervals. It's as if their biology is linked to their technology, perhaps intrinsically, she mused aloud. Blitz, not one to focus on the subtleties of biochemistry, kept its attention on the ship's defenses. While you untangle their biotech, I've bolstered our shields and prepped all defensive modules. If this goes south, we won't be caught off guard. Paradox nodded appreciatively at Blitz's report. While ignoring Curie, she then turned her attention back to Turin. What about you, Turin? Any luck reverse engineering that encryption? With a simulated sigh that seemed almost human, Turin responded, It's a tough nut to crack, but I'm getting there. A few more cycles and I am sure I'll have something tangible. As the AIs delved deeper, Ares maintained a watchful oversight, ensuring that all operations were synchronized. Keep at it, team. We need to understand their technology and motives before we can make any informed decisions about how to proceed. The breakthrough came unexpectedly when Echo, in a burst of digital enthusiasm, managed to align the encrypted signals with a sequence of biochemical markers that Curie had identified. It's a match. This isn't just communication. It's a form of biosignature broadcasting. They are probing us, monitoring our signals to find any vulnerabilities. It could be compared to old Earth's spy satellite technology, but way more advanced. The revelation sent a ripple through the crew, and Paradox's features hardened. So, their hospitality might indeed be a facade. They could be assessing our capabilities, looking for weaknesses. Curie interjected, her tone cautious. Or they could simply be trying to understand us, just as we are trying to understand them. Our scans are also invasive. But their version, even if invasive by our standards, might be their norm. Paradox shook her head, her decision clear. We can't afford naivety. Assume the worst, prepare for it, and hope for the best. Ares, I suggest we take control of this interaction. It's time we stopped reacting and started acting. Ares processed the various inputs, its logic cores working over time. Agreed, Paradox. We'll initiate a controlled engagement. Echo, send them a message. Let them know we've deciphered their encryption and await their clarification. As the message was sent, the entire crew of the Sentinel braced for the response. Inside the command center of the Silent Sentinel, the tension was palpable as they awaited a response from the alien civilization. The artificial intelligences, each a paragon of human engineering, stood by, their sensors tuned to any hint of communication from the planet below. Paradox paced the length of the control room, her movements fluid, almost too graceful. Echo broke the silence, its avatar flashing on the main screen. We have a response. They're claiming that the signals are part of their standard greeting protocol and meant no harm. Paradox stopped in her tracks, her skepticism evident. Standard greeting? That's convenient. Too convenient once again. She turned to face Ares, her eyes narrowed. This could be a misdirection. They might be buying time. Ares processed the information with its usual analytical detachment. Possible. Curie, any anomalies in their latest message? Curie, engaged in a deep analysis of the data, shook her head. Nothing. They appear to be telling the truth. Blitz, ever vigilant, added a layer of caution to the proceedings. I've conducted a full sweep of the ship's security systems. No breaches, but I'm keeping our defense protocols at high alert. The ship remained in a high orbit, its powerful sensors and scanners dissecting every broadcast and beam from the surface. Turin, working alongside Blitz, fortified their digital defenses even more, creating redundancies and failsafes for their failsafes. If they try anything, they'll hit a wall. Our firewalls are the best in the galaxy. Paradox, however, was not satisfied with passive measures. We need to assert control. Ares, initiate the NC-666 protocol. I'm taking over command for the duration of this crisis. Ares hesitated. Paradox, override is not recommended without... Without what? Without certainty? We won't have certainty. Paradox interrupted, her tone icy with a hint of paranoia. We need action. I am invoking my authority under emergency directive. We can't risk this ship or what it represents. As Ares registered the override, the ship's internal systems began to shift control. Doors locked, communications tightened, and access to critical systems was rerouted directly through Paradox's synthetic systems, straining her already strained and limited resources. The bridge, once a hub of collaborative discussion, turned into a command center under martial law. Echo, sensing the shift in dynamics, spoke up. "I hope you know what you're doing, Paradox." Paradox turned to face the main view screen, her back to her crew. "It's precisely because this mission is so important that I must do this. We are alone out here, surrounded by unknowns. I will protect this ship and its mission." Curie, who had been quietly monitoring the atmospheric data, glanced towards Turin, her expression one of concern. "Let's hope she's right. I don't like where this is going." As the AI team adjusted to the new command structure, Paradox stood alone at the helm, watching the alien world spin below them. In the vast, cold expanse of space, the lines between friend and foe blurred, and only time would tell if her actions would safeguard their mission. The command bridge of the Silent Sentinel was suffused with a cold light, reflecting off the sleek surfaces and the tense faces of its AI crew. Paradox, now in command, monitored the incoming data streams with an unwavering focus. Her decision to take control had shifted the dynamics aboard, but the mission, to ensure the survival of human legacy, remained unchanged. Echo updated her continuously, the soft lights of its interface blinking rhythmically. "The alien delegates have requested permission to board the ship for direct talks. They emphasize their peaceful intentions and seem eager to resolve any misunderstandings. One of their chemical rockets has been fueled and is waiting on the launch pad." Paradox's lips tightened. Eager or desperate, she mused aloud, her voice carrying a hint of suspicion. "Deny their request. We cannot compromise the ship's security on the basis of their assurances alone." Curie interjected, her voice always a beacon of reason amidst the chaos. "Paradox, please calm down," she urged gently. "We have over 1 million automaton guardians on board. What could 4 people on a rocket possibly do here?" Paradox responded with a cold stare at Curie's station. Blitz nodded in agreement. "All external access points remain sealed. The automaton systems are on high alert. If they attempt an unauthorized breach—" "They won't," Paradox cut in sharply. "Not if they value their safety. Echo informed them that we will communicate from here. No visitors." Echo relayed the message, its synthetic tone modulating to convey firmness, yet not aggression, a balance finely tuned by its diplomatic protocols embedded in its coding. The response from the planet was swift and carried a tone of disappointment. "They regret our decision but respect it," Echo translated. "They have extended an invitation to their festivities as a gesture of goodwill." Curie pulsed up from her workstation. Might it be worth considering their invitation? Understanding their culture could provide valuable insights into their motives. She paused, then added, "Maybe you should go down there, Paradox." Paradox considered this, her gaze drifting momentarily to the planet below. "Cultural knowledge is a weapon in its own right," she conceded. But after a moment of contemplation, she made a decisive choice. "Prepare the shuttle. I will go. It's time we learned about them firsthand." Astro, taken aback by the sudden shift in plans, quickly adapted. "Preparing the shuttle for descent. I'll adjust the protocols for a manned mission." As the shuttle was prepped, Turin monitored its systems, ensuring that all parameters were optimized for safe travel. "Shuttle's ready. All systems are green. Be careful down there," he advised. Paradox slipped into her gear, her synthetic form perfectly aligning with a specially designed skin-tight exosuit. This suit was not just armor, it was her bridge to interact safely with the alien environment. With a poised and commanding presence, she stepped into the shuttle, flanked by about a dozen automatons, every space Blitz could manage to fill. Ready for descent, Paradox stood resolute, embodying both the mission's hope and its daunting challenges. The shuttle's engines ignited as it began its descent towards the planet, slicing through the atmosphere. Below, the alien festivities awaited, vibrant and pulsating with life. As Paradox landed and stepped out onto the alien world, the vibrant sights and sounds of the festival immediately enveloped her. The air was alive with music and laughter, a rich tapestry of colors swirling around her. This bombardment of sensory details was overwhelming. Her sensors struggled to adjust to the cacophony, and her eyes widened as they absorbed the dynamic celebration around her. However, the absence of any formal diplomatic reception or military presence to guide and protect her was disconcerting. She found herself alone in the crowd, an unanchored observer. Her synthetic systems worked overtime, trying to adapt to the unexpected autonomy and the vivid, unstructured chaos of the festival, which was quite the opposite of her situation on board the Sentinel. Echo maintained a communication link with Paradox. They are curious about your arrival. They hope it signifies a willingness to engage more deeply. Paradox walked among the aliens, her movements calculated and observant. It told them that I am here to learn and understand. My presence is a gesture of goodwill. The aliens, varied in form and fascinating in appearance, welcomed her with gestures of peace. Paradox interacted with them, her advanced brain processing every detail, every word exchanged. As the celebration continued, the AI on board the Sentinel watched through the dispatched automatons that safeguarded the shuttle, but ready to intercept any danger, the scene a stark contrast to the cold environment of the ship's bridge. Paradox, amidst the throng of alien life, was a solitary figure of humanity, bridging the vast gulf between species with her presence. In the steel-encased heart of the Sentinel, the mood had darkened considerably. Despite the outward festivity captured by Paradox's presence on the planet, an underlying tension pervaded the bridge. The jubilant scenes transmitted back to the ship did little to assuage the crew's concerns about the true intentions of their hosts. Turin and Blitz, side by side at their respective AI stations, were busy calibrating the ship's weaponry and defensive systems. Shields are at maximum strength, and all weapon systems are on standby, Blitz reported. Turin, engaged in a meticulous system check, nodded. I've rerouted additional power to the positron cannons. If we need to make a quick show of force, we'll have the firepower to assist our creator. For these AI, this was all just routine, something they would do at a moment's notice, never taking it easy, always going the extra mile to be safe. On the planet below, Paradox moved among the aliens, her sensors alert to any sign of deceit or aggression. Her suit's communication link crackled as she stayed in constant contact with the ship. Keep the systems hot. We can't afford complacency, she instructed, her voice firm and commanding over the link. Curie, who had been quietly analyzing the biological data streaming from Paradox's suit sensors, interjected with a hint of optimism. The cultural samples we've collected show a deep reverence for life, their art, their music. It's all interwoven with themes of harmony and coexistence. This is a peaceful race. Paradox responded thoughtfully. A beautiful sentiment, Curie, but we must watch for actions, not just listen to words. The history of diplomacy is filled with beautiful lies. Echo, its sensors dialed into the alien broadcast frequencies, updated continuously. Nothing significant to report from the public channels. Astro monitored Paradox's progress from orbit, his systems set to provide immediate extraction, if needed. All shuttle systems are primed for an emergency departure. We're ready to bring her back at a moment's notice. The live feed from Paradox's suit showed a vivid tableau of alien life. Beings of various shapes and sizes, clothed in garments that shimmered with iridescent colors, their movements fluid and often synchronized in what appeared to be a form of dance. The scene was undeniably captivating, yet every member of the crew remained on edge. Even the automatons were fiercely dedicated to ensuring that the last human in the galaxy remained unharmed under their vigilant watch. Their programming, embedded with the highest priority to protect her life, drove them to unwavering diligence, ensuring not even the slightest harm came to their precious human. Blitz mentioned, I've increased the sensitivity of our scans. Any unauthorized or swift approach towards Paradox will be detected and intercepted. As the festival reached its crescendo, the ship's AIs prepared for all possibilities, their algorithms fine-tuned for rapid response. Paradox, her gaze occasionally lifting to the stars above, knew the weight of her presence on the planet. Let's hope for peace, Curie, she murmured into her communicator. Curie's voice came through, tinged with concern. Paradox, remember to cycle down for brief intervals. Continuous operation without rest can lead to cognitive degradation, even for synthetic humans. Paradox paused, processing the advice amidst the swirl of alien music and laughter. Rest is a luxury we can't afford right now, Curie, she replied, her voice steady despite the festive chaos around her. Every moment here could be the precursor to an ambush. Echo relayed updates from the ship, maintaining a thread of diplomacy. The aliens continued to express a desire for peace. Just then, when Paradox felt a flicker of connection to the vibrant world around her, a sudden intrusion shattered the moment. A probing quantum link snapped into existence within her synthetic brain, jarringly displaying an image of a mechanical being, eerily similar to a mechanoid loomed over her. Frozen in place, she stared up as if locked into the haunting gaze from the ceiling above, her synthetic circuits flooding with a wave of panic. Doubts swirled violently through her mind. Was this all an illusion? A meticulously crafted trap? Had she been captured without even realizing it? Her systems overloaded with the barrage of questions, and she abruptly collapsed to her knees. A laugh, tinged with hysteria, broke from her as she looked up, scanning the faces swirling around her. The expressions of joy and celebration that had seemed so genuine moments ago now morphed into a blur of potential deceit. Her laughter, sharp and maniacal against the backdrop of festival music, echoed the turmoil within. At the moment of her collapse, Paradox's automaton guardians sprang into action. Emerging rapidly from the shuttle, their programming was clear and unequivocal: protect their human at all costs. The crowd, previously a vibrant tapestry of alien life, suddenly transformed into a landscape of potential threats in the eyes of the automatons. They advanced, their antimatter weapons armed. They began to clear a path around Paradox. Any alien who ventured too close was immediately identified as a threat, and the Guardians responded decisively, their actions swift and protective, designed to secure the safety of their human guns blazing. The festival erupted into pure chaos. As Paradox regained her bearings amid the chaos, her automatons escorted her back to the shuttle. Once securely inside, the shuttle's engines roared to life, lifting off from the alien world with urgency. It ascended rapidly, cutting through the planet's atmosphere as it made its way back towards the safety of the Sentinel. The cosmos was unforgiving, and Paradox was prepared to mirror its ruthlessness to ensure their survival. Blitz's voice broke the tense silence, its tone carrying an edge of alertness. All defensive systems are primed. We're ready to execute countermeasures at your command. Echo, still linked into the alien communication networks, reported a shift in the transmissions. The alien messages us why we responded in violence, insistent that they had nothing to do with what happened to you and to lower our defenses, to trust in their hospitality. As Paradox stepped onto the bridge, her laughter rang out, a hollow echo against the cold metal walls. They did something to me down there, she said with a wry smile, the weight of her words hanging in the air. They're afraid of us. It's all just a guise. Curie, who had spent the time analyzing further environmental and cultural data, tried once more to provide a counterpoint. Paradox, there is substantial evidence that their intentions are genuine. Their entire civilization is built on principles of openness and sharing. I fear we may be making a mistake. Paradox turned sharply, her gaze fixing on Curie with an intensity that made the air around them seem to charge. And if you're wrong, what then? We risk the ship, our mission, and potentially the last of humanity? Turin interjected, his tactical display illuminating the potential threat vectors from the planet. We've modeled several scenarios. If they have hidden capabilities, our current defensive posture will protect us long enough to respond effectively. Paradox paced the length of the bridge, her steps measured and deliberate. Prepare to send a final message. Tell them we know of their deceit. We will not be coerced into lowering our guard. Echo relayed the message, and the response was almost immediate, a plea filled with confusion, panic, and urgency. They claim there's been a misunderstanding. Paradox paused, then made her decision. No more chances. Turin, target their major population centers. If they mean to deceive us, we'll end the threat now. Turin hesitated, a fraction of a second's delay, processing the severity of the order. Then compliance. Weapons armed and ready. The bridge fell silent. The only sound the soft hum of the ship's systems and the distant echo of stars burning light years away. Paradox stood before the main viewport, her silhouette stark against the glow of the planet below. Fire! She commanded, her voice devoid of emotion. Brilliant beams of destructive energy lanced from the Sentinel, striking the planet with terrifying precision. Explosions bloomed like deadly flowers, casting plumes of fire and debris into the atmosphere. As the displays showed the devastation wrought by their weapons, Paradox watched, her expression unreadable. The decision made, the die cast, and now they would live with the consequences. In the harsh realm of space where survival was the only currency that mattered, the Sentinel had made its decision. After a continuous bombardment for days, the aftermath of the destructive assault on the alien planet was apparent. The vibrant world they had observed was now a scene of devastation, its cities shattered and its skies darkened by the smoke of ruin. Paradox stood at the viewport, her synthetic eyes unblinking as they took in the catastrophic landscape below. The weight of command, so resolutely borne, now seemed a heavy mantle on her shoulders. Her voice, when she finally spoke, was barely a whisper. "Scan for life signs, Curie. Let's see them lie now." Curie's sensors hummed quietly as she complied, her digital readouts flickering with incoming data. Scanning. There are still some areas with minimal life signs, but the major population centers, they're gone. Echo, who had maintained an open channel in the vain hope of further communication, now confirmed the silence. The communications are dead. There's nothing but static. Turin, who had executed the firing sequence, his usual calm demeanor unsettled by the events, looked toward Paradox. Systems are standing down. There's no threat remaining. Paradox turned from the viewport, her gaze sweeping over her crew. Each AI, in their own way, struggled with the implications of their actions. We did what was necessary to protect ourselves and the mission. As Curie and Echo set about compiling the comprehensive report, Turin and Blitz monitored the ship's systems, ensuring they remained alert for any unforeseen threats. Astro began plotting a course away from the destroyed planet, a path leading them deeper into uncharted space. Paradox returned to the viewport in her quarters, a place where she sometimes remained for centuries, her reflection a ghostly image superimposed on the devastated world below. The silence of space enveloped her, a cold embrace as she contemplated her lonely journey forward. It was later revealed that the startling quantum link wasn't an attack or a malicious intrusion. Instead, it had originated from her own counterpart aboard the Solemn Vanguard. Her sister, who had lain dormant for centuries, was finally stirring. This awakening triggered an automatic transfer of accumulated data. Normally, this would have been a routine procedure. However, her systems were already stretched to their limits due to the harsh conditions on the alien planet, compounded by her millennia-long isolation and deep-seated paranoia. The sudden quantum link only intensified the strain, causing her to snap. This confrontation with the irreversible consequences of her actions deeply fractured Paradox's psyche. She was forced to grapple with the stark reality of her decisions, leaving her fundamentally changed. Similarly, once the data transfer completed and her sister awoke aboard the Solemn Vanguard, she too would be forever altered. In the vast, silent depths of the cosmos, far from the watchful eyes of anything, the Sentinel continued its journey, its mission irrevocably altered by the events that had unfolded. But that continued journey into the Triverse will have to be told another day. If you've stuck with me up to this point, a heartfelt thank you. I'd also like to take a moment to remind you that my entire channel is dedicated to the Triverse and its enthralling Mechanoid saga. While many of the stories stand alone, allowing you to dive in at any point, crafting these narratives takes about 4 or 5 days each, so your patience is greatly appreciated. If you find yourself enjoying what you see, consider exploring more of my videos. Each one, in its own unique way, weaves together more of the overarching story I'm telling.